everybody, my name is Melissa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the 20 books that I want to read in 2020. These are physical books that I have had on my shelf either for quite a while, maybe some of them I just got this month as Christmas gifts, but either way, these are physical books that I want to read and that I want to kind of get through in this next year. I'm making it a huge goal for myself to buy less and read more of the books that I currently own because I kind of find myself picking up new books or ebooks, things like that, when I have plenty of books here on my shelves. So I came up with a list of 20 books that I really want to get to within the next year. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first book I have on this list is a historical fiction, and that's not the reason why I haven't read it or even the length of this book. The fact is I know it's going to tear at my heartstrings and I'm going to be a huge mess by the end of it, and that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is one that I just already know is going to like tear me down, but I have heard such amazing things from so many different sources about how so good this book is. It is a book that is set in World War II that follows two different sisters and their lives, and I just heard this is such a beautiful and amazing book and one that I really want to get to, and has been on my shelf for over a year now, and I definitely need to pick this one up. So for a historical romance book, I have this that I received from Avery Loves Books, and that is The Highwayman. And this is a book that I have seen on several different romance readers recommendations. Jess from Peace Love Books absolutely loves this and raves about it, so I put it on my wish list. So thank you, Avery, for sending me this book. I really do appreciate it, and I believe we are going to be doing a buddy read of this book if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'm definitely really excited to dive into this and see what all the hype is about. The next book that I have on the list is another historical romance. I've had my eye on this for quite a while, and that's going to be The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. This is a book that Shelby from Shelby Tiger Reads gifted me for Christmas, so thank you so much for sending this my way. I read the first book in this series earlier this year, absolutely adored it, and loved Tessa Dare's writing, so I'm excited to see what all the hype about is for this book. And yeah, I've heard this one's really cute, a lot of fun, has a ton of different animals that are involved in it, and yeah, I'm very excited. The next book that I have to read is a contemporary romance, and that is The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman. This is a book that I have had since summer. I'm pretty sure I picked it up close to its release date, and I just haven't picked it up for some odd reason. This is about a girl who I think she works in a bookstore if I'm not mistaken, but she kind of like separates herself. She does a lot of reading, isn't too social, and gets involved in a relationship and kind of blooms from there. So I'm very excited to see what this book is about. I've heard high praise from Gabby Reads, and she said she really liked it, so I'm very excited to pick this book up. It's pretty short, so I don't know why I haven't done it yet. So yeah. So they just started mowing the lawn right outside my window, so if you can hear that, I do apologize. But this next book that I want to read is a young adult sci-fi novel, and that is Renegades by Marissa Mayer. This is an author that wrote the Lunar Chronicles, and I think I read all of them last year for the first time, and I absolutely love them, and I'm very excited to see what this one's about. This is kind of like about superheroes and a bad guy, or I think it's a girl, so this bad character infiltrates the good guys and is kind of bringing them down. I think that's what this is about, but I know that there are 3 books in the series that are out, and I'm not sure if it's a trilogy or if it's going to continue, but I have the first book and I really want to check it out. So this next book that I have is one that I've had on several different TBRs. It's adult sci-fi, even though they have it in the fiction section, but most people classify it as sci-fi, and that's Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is a book that I have been wanting to read, just haven't done it. I think it's mostly due to the hype that is surrounding it. It's about a man who wakes up and his life isn't the life that he remembers, and he's trying to get back to that old life. That's really all I know about this book, and I don't really want to know too much. It's a pretty short book, so I'm sure I can fly through it, but I heard really good things about it, and I just haven't read it yet. So this next book I have is a young adult sci-fi, is the second book in a trilogy, I believe it's going to be, and that's going to be Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. I loved Skyward, the first installment, and I really can't believe believe I haven't picked this book up yet. I picked it up as soon as it was released, and yeah, I just haven't read it yet. I don't know what's holding me back, whether it's because I just don't want to read it and then I'll have the next book to pick up right away. Not sure, but I absolutely loved the first book, which I read earlier this year. All I can say about it is if you like sci-fi, if you like young adult books, definitely pick it up. Even if you are an adult, this series is so much fun. The characters are amazing. Brandon Sanderson put so much thought and effort into all of the different scenes and the fight scenes and everything about it. If you can't tell, I'm a huge Brandon Sanderson fan and I love his YA sci-fi novels, so yes. Need to pick this one up. One of the books that I picked up this year from Half Price Books and just never got around to it is Kings of the Wild. So I heard this is a really great adult fantasy novel. It is about a group of men who at one time in their prime, they were like the top mercenaries, kicking butt, taking names, all that kind of stuff. And now they're a little bit older. They've gone and lived their own lives. Something happens to one of the guy's daughters. She, I don't think she's kidnapped. I think she's like caught in this really bad situation, and the dad decides to get all the old mercenaries together to go save his daughter. I heard this book has a lot of D&D vibes. I personally have never played that game. I've always wanted to, so if this is as close as I can get to playing the game, I'm all here for it. I heard it's so much fun, laugh out loud funny, and if I can take, humor and great things happening in a fantasy book, sign me up. I'm all here for it. Another adult fantasy novel that I really want to read is The Broken Eye by Brent Weeks. I actually started this, I didn't get very far if you can tell. Let's see, a couple months ago. I do remember exactly where I left off because it was in the middle of an action scene and I really loved it, but I don't know why I didn't continue on. I think I got distracted by, romance books that were like super quick and easy and fast paced. Not that this isn't easy and fast paced to read. I have loved the first two books, but for some reason I read these like in the summer. It's like kind of like my summer book, and so far I've read one a year. I'm hoping to finish the whole series next year. All 5 books are out, and yeah, I definitely love this world. It's very different from anything else that I have read in the past. This is a magic system that's based on color. The more colors that you can control, the more powerful you are, but only the prism can control all of them. So this is a multi-point of view story, and it's just so good. I love all the characters. They're ones that you love to hate and hate to love. They're so dynamic, and yeah, definitely if you like great characters and morals and all that good stuff, check this out. Love it. So this next book I picked up, and I just feel so bad I haven't read it yet, and that's going to be The Girl the Sea Gave Back by Adrienne Young. This is a book that I absolutely loved her debut novel, The Sky and the Deep. It was a Viking story. This is, I believe, a companion novel, but I don't believe you have to read her first novel to understand what's going on in this one. Honestly, I don't really know too much about this. I think it still deals with Vikings in a way. Not really quite sure, but I'm very excited for it. I really want to read it very soon because yeah, like look at that cover. It's pretty awesome. So this next book I don't know too much other than it is a polyamorous book, and that is A Lesson in Thorns by Sierra Simone. If you watch my channel, you know I read a lot of polyamorous books and a lot of romance as well. So I am totally here for this. So this was a gift that was sent from Riley Marie. Thank you so much for sending me. I know this was one of her favorite books that she's read, and I absolutely have had my eye on this since I watched her video where she was gushing about it. So yeah, definitely want to read this very soon, and yeah, I love all of her recommendations for romance, so can't wait. So this next book was actually a gift from my husband a couple months ago. I think it might have been around my birthday time, but either way, that is Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. I read Carry On earlier this year, absolutely loved it. I knew that the sequel was coming out, so I decided to pick up Carry On finally after I don't know how long. Needless to say, I'm very excited to finally get to the sequel. I've heard mixed reviews about it, to be quite honest, but I don't know. I'm just gonna go into it with, low expectations, not expecting too much, because, the way that the first book wrapped up, definitely I wanted more, but it definitely left it on a great, ending, so we shall see how this goes. So I have another book that I actually recently started physically. I picked up the audiobook to hopefully, get through that a little bit faster, and that is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. This is a heist adult fantasy novel that deals with a great friendship, and I'm so far really liking it. I mean, I'm not very far at all. I'm literally 30 pages in. This has a dual timeline where you're following the past and the present. You're following Locke Lamora and how he becomes this great I'm gonna say heistman, this great thief, and planning this new one. And I'm really excited because the second book has to do with like pirates and being on the sea and all that stuff. So I like reading about pirates and all that stuff. So I'm very excited to get through this one and check out the next one. I can't believe it's taken me so long to pick this up, and I definitely don't want to sit on this one for too long. So the next book I have is actually kind of like around the same wavelength, and that is Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is a book that is based on a thief and kind of a heist that they have to steal this unattainable or unstealable object. And the main character, she has a special ability where she can touch things and either like hear their thoughts or their past, or some sort of magical ability in touching objects and knowing more about them. So this is very interesting and really good. I heard from Reagan on her channel. So yeah, definitely have had my eye on this for quite a while. I think the second book is either out or it's coming out. I'm pretty sure it's already out. But yeah, this one is pretty big, and I don't know why I haven't picked it up. I've had it for quite a while and definitely want to read it very soon. Okay, so sorry if things kind of like moved around or something happened, because unfortunately my card was full and I had to delete some footage, so I had to move around. This next book is a YA fantasy book that was another gift from Chapters We Love. I'm so excited for House of Salt and Sorrows. This is a book that we will be buddy reading as well, and I can't wait because I've heard really good things about it. I heard it's really atmospheric and dark, and yeah, it's a retelling of 12 Dancing Princesses. Honestly, I'm not quite sure. It's a retelling. Very excited, really atmospheric. That's really all I know about it, all I want to know, and I can't wait to dive into this one. So I have one thriller on this list, and it's one that I put on several TBRs. Haven't read it, you know, because obviously that's kind of like what happens in my life, and that's going to be No Exit by Taylor Adams. This I wanted to read during or before Christmas, but in the winter months is fine. It's about a girl who is traveling home for Christmas, and she ends up at this rest stop and notices that there is a girl in a cage in the back of a van. So it's kind of like isolation thriller, doesn't know who is the kidnapper. It could be anyone that's in this rest stop, and yeah, heard it's really good, fast paced, high intensity, and Jess from Peace Loves Books loves it. So she's mainly a romance reader, so if she liked it, I'm sure this is really good. So this next book I have is actually a gift that I received last Christmas. I haven't read it yet. It was on my TBR back in like February. Unfortunately, didn't get to it. That is Sword of Destiny, the second book in the Witcher series. So this is a second collection of short stories that definitely follows what the show is. I don't know why I didn't pick it up. I just felt like it was a little bit hard to get into the first book just because of the translation from Polish to English. It just felt a little bit jilted. But like once I got into the book, I got into the rhythm of things and did enjoy it. From what I read in the first collection of short stories and watching the show, it definitely follows it pretty well. And I definitely want to continue on with the series and see what's going to happen because yeah. Hello, I already have the second book, so I need to read it. The next book I have is another gift, so thank you so much, Jessica from Peace Love Books. She gifted me Good Gone Bad by Gianna Darling. I'd meant to read this for my Kindle Unlimited Weekend Readathon, but I decided I wanted to put it on hold and read it next year because I just wasn't going to have time to finish it in the last day of the readathon. But this is the third book in the Fallen Men series, a age gap romance between the daughter of Zeus from the second story and her love story with the cop. I'm really excited to pick this up and read it. I know I'm gonna love it because I loved the second book so much, and she's writing a fourth book coming out soon or next year, and I can't wait. So the last two books are by the same author, and I mean, like, let's be real, of course I had these books on there. The second one is going to be The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson. I actually put this on my Christmas wish list or my bookish wish list for Amazon. Ended up just like gifting it to myself because I really wanted it. And yeah, this is the second era of the Mistborn trilogy. So I heard this one's a lot more lighthearted and fun compared to the first one because that one is pretty intense and very high stakes, which I'm sure this one is high stakes as well. But I'm very excited to dive into this because it happens 300 years after the events following the first series. And yeah, definitely read the first one before you dive into this because I'm sure there's gonna be all types of spoilers in it. But this one follows a detective and his sidekick, and like 300 years, it's definitely more of like they have guns and magic type things, so like a Western style with magic. I'm I have no idea. Sounds really interesting, and I have loved everything that I've read by Brandon Sanderson and really want to pick this one up. So the last book I have on this list I was planning on reading for the fall time, obviously didn't pick it up, was planning on reading it in the winter, didn't pick it up yet, and that's gonna be Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. This is the third book in the Stormlight Archives. I do need to read, let me see, I have it right here. Edge Dancer, which is the novella that goes in between these two, but I started reading this and I realized that the majority of the story is actually in the second novel as like interludes, or like the, I don't know, the parts of the story is already in the book. So that was kind of like frustrating, but either way, I need to read that. I need to read this to get ready for the release of the fourth book in the Stormlight Archives. This is a, oh my gosh, this book's heavy. This is a story that is based on a multi-point of view group of characters. They follow all different types of walks of life, a slave, a general, you have a thief, as well as like you're following like a prince, all this different types of stuff. If you like high fantasy, epic fantasy, you're not going to be disappointed by this series. I promise you, it is so well loved and deserving of all the praise that it has, and I can't wait to dive back into this world. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching the top 20 books of 2020 that I want to get to. These are books on my physical TBR that I need to. I've been wanting to read for so long and just haven't done it. And I definitely want to hold myself accountable to reading these by the end of the year, crossing my fingers that it happens. But I have so many books on my physical TBR, it's very overwhelming and I need to just get through them before I purchase any more books. So yeah, if you've read any of these books or have any thoughts or opinions, I would love to chat about and talk about it in the comments down below. And I hope you have a great day and happy reading. Bye!